This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 18th day of May in the year 2021. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. The Guyana Power and Light Company has reached an agreement with the union for its workers NASI for a 5% increase in wages and salaries for GPL workers. The agreement is valid for 3 years and the workers will get a 5% increase in each of the next 3 years. They were hoping for an incremental increase between 5% and 9% over the next 3 years. GPL's Deputy Chief Executive Officer Renford Homer and NASI's General Secretary Dauchen Nagasar have both welcomed the agreement.
It's always best when both parties could come to a mutually agreed position instead of bickering and fighting and have to come to the ministry and so on. So we tend to prefer not to get the ministry involved and start our business between ourselves, where the workers and the company and the employers can deal with matters.
The agreement was reached as the two sides ended negotiations after a year at the Ministry of Labour. The agreement is set to cater for 750 employees.
I think we all know that this has been something that had started some time ago. Mr. Nagasar rightfully mentioned July of last year. And of course there were expectations, and understandably so, by our colleagues who were represented by NASI. And of course, we saw over time those expectations leading to some frustrations, whilst we continue to attempt to continue our negotiations to come to an amicable position. And I think we saw some of those frustrations demonstrated a few weeks ago in front of our Main Street office. Nonetheless, management remains steadfast in its intention to continue to negotiate and engage the union to bring this matter to an amicable conclusion.
The agreement is also set to cover the full settlement of all claims for increases in remuneration for the year 2020. Added to the agreement, the two sides have also agreed to consider proposals of the labour agreement between 2021 and 2023. Meanwhile, a new arrangement as it relates to a range of new national fringe benefits, including meals, travelling and out-of-town allowances, will be injected into the agreement for this year. The talks for the agreement started under the APNU-AFC government. When the government changed, GPL asked for a pause in the negotiations, as there were also management changes at the company. The negotiations eventually resumed and several matters were discussed and agreements reached, leading to the final agreement today. More news coming up in just a moment.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people we have
weathered every storm
and risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
All the people,
regardless of race, class, or religion.
We are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Me name Radhika, right? And me just get my COVID-19 vaccine. Me turn rich and me take my COVID-19 vaccine, right? And me want to encourage everybody out there to come and take your COVID-19 vaccine, because COVID-19 not discrimination, you know. Anybody can get them, in no matter what race you be, in no matter what color you be, in no even matter what gender you be, anybody can get COVID-19. So I come and I take your vaccine then, because it's very important to take it. But remember that when you take your vaccine, that doesn't mean that you can just stop wearing your mask and stop sanitizing and say you still got to take all the precautions. Nothing is 100% foolproof, but the vaccine is important for how you take. Here, Radhika says so.
Mobil 1 is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil 1 adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Sol Guyana is the authorized distributor of Mobil lubricants. At Sash Financial, we create strategies for strengthening business and personal finances while helping our clients to build sustainable wealth. Our financial and business consultancy services are uniquely tailored to ensure every client receives quality packages and optimal results. Our financial services include financial reporting and analysis, financial status assessment, internal audits, bookkeeping and records management, financial planning advice, tax returns. Our business advisory services are related to business plans, business startups, operational improvement, business management, document preparation, procedures development, efficient marketing. Call or WhatsApp us today for your free consultation on telephone number 592-665-6045. Sash Financial, strengthening businesses, building wealth.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong, be the one to live right.
Mom, what are you doing with GPL on your list?
Child, you forgot I have to pay GPL?
You got time with GPL?
I have to keep these lights on. The customers who think in that manner and refuse to honor their obligation to GPL are obviously not playing their part in ensuring quality service delivery. So, I will continue to pay my GPL bill on time, every time.
I recognize the value of your point, Mom. You were right.
Welcome back. The governing People's Progressive Party, Civic, has not taken kindly to statements made by several organizations that have rejected the International Republican Institute's involvement in a project to reform Guyana's electoral laws and process. The Guyana Human Rights Association, the African Cultural and Development Association, and the Working People's Alliance, along with the recently formed Electoral Reform Group, have all expressed their reservations about the electoral reform project being overlooked by IRI, which is a US-based organization. In a statement, the governing party first lashed out at the Guyana Human Rights Association, stating that the worst in the lineup is the GHRA. According to the PPP, for the long 5 months when Guyana's democracy was on the siege, the PPP accused the Guyana Human Rights Association of saying nothing during the election fiasco, adding that now that they are proceeding to reform the process in order to strengthen it against any type of fraud, they are witnessing attempts being made to perpetuate against the will of the Guyanese people. The PPP also lashed out at the Working People's Alliance, describing the political party as defunct and stating that the party has finally found its voice. The PPP said the WPA is inaccurate in its accusation that the International Republican Institute will spearhead the electoral reform process. According to the PPP, it has always promised electoral reform. The party said the government would drive the process and will accept the assistance and work with various international organizations. The PPP said the attacks on the International Republican Institute's role in Guyana's electoral reform process has been misrepresented and manipulated to win political, partisan, and ethnic sentiments. Back in 2015, when the same International Republican Institute was involved in a voter education initiative, it was the PPP that was concerned and critical of the involvement of the same group. Let's tell you now that 5 persons appeared in court today to face fraud charges related to over $19 million in bogus GRA checks that were cashed at the Guyana Bank for Trade and Industry. Appearing in court today were Anush Khan, Kamal Ram Persad, Ramashan Singh, Devendra Motiram, and Charissa Tapin. According to the first charge sheet, between the 28th of October last year and the 11th of May this year, Romishan Singh conspired with Anush Khan, Devendra Motiram, and Komaram Prasad and other persons to forge a Bank of Guyana check amounting to just over $9.5 million, purporting to show that it was issued by the GRA when in fact they knew it was forged. On the second charge, the same four men conspired with a woman, Sharissa Tapin, and other persons to forge another Bank of Guyana check, valuing more than $9 million, purporting to show that it was also issued by the GRA when it was known that it was forged. The woman, who is currently serving a prison sentence for drug trafficking, was remanded to prison for the charge, while the four other accused were granted bail in the sum of $600,000 each for the two charges. The court was also informed that other charges are likely to be filed and other persons are likely to appear in court on the charges. Meanwhile, as the probe continues into the bogus check fraud, at least 3 staffers attached to the Guyana Revenue Authority have been pulled in by the police for questioning about those bogus GRA checks. While the GRA has confirmed that the checks were indeed bogus and did not come from the agency, investigators suspect that persons working at the agency may have provided information and possible photographs or scanned images to other persons for the production of the bogus checks. Police investigators are also probing personnel at the commercial bank where the checks were cashed. GRA officials have said the bank should have picked up that the checks were bogus because the Revenue Authority does not issue checks that can be cashed. All of the checks are payable to accounts. The General Registration Office has started the distribution of computer-generated certified copies of birth, deaths, and marriage certificates which are registered in Guyana. The computer-generated certificates will see enhanced security features. The new certificates are similar in color and size to the ones presently being issued, but the new documents will see all information printed by computer. However, with the new certificates, organizations will also have to first contact the GRO to verify the information on the certificate. Registrar General Raymond Cummings explained the process.
Every now and then we have issues of persons who would have applied for a certificate and through human error, because persons are literally sitting down and writing certificates every day, all day. You'll find that they might make an error with a spelling of a name or with a date or something like that, which it becomes very crucial, especially when persons need it to do business and persons are overseas or they are out of town and not in close proximity, to have that error corrected. So what this does, it eliminates the chances of human error. So once the information is entered into the computer database, that is when the registration comes in, and it's entered into the computer database, only what is in the computer database will be allowed to be printed. The computer will not print something that is not in.
A project to digitize all records of the General Register Office started about 3 years ago. The post-mortem examination conducted on the body of 45-year-old Peter Headley, who was killed in police custody, has found that he died from a single gunshot wound that perforated his lungs. Headley was shot dead by a police officer while being taken in his own car to the police station on suspicion of being involved in a robbery. The police force's Office of Professional Responsibility is probing the incident. While the post-mortem examination confirmed a deadly gunshot wound, family members were not told of an entry point to the body. After he was arrested by the police, Headley was told to sit in the front passenger seat of his car. 2 police officers joined him in the vehicle, with one taking over the driving of the vehicle while the other sat in the back seat behind the suspect. The police officers who were in the car claimed that while the man was being driven to the police station for questioning, he attempted to reach for what they thought was a weapon under the passenger seat. The policeman who was seated behind him was the one who shot him dead. No weapon was found in the vehicle. Police sources familiar with the investigations have told News Source that there were several inconsistencies in the version of the shooting incident as presented by the 2 policemen. One source said the story of the police officers sound fictitious, and the probe by the Office of Professional Responsibility is closely examining the statements along with the post-mortem report. Family members of the dead man have already indicated that they do not believe the police version of events, and they are very convinced that it was a cold-blooded murder. The Guyana National Bureau of Standards Product Compliance Department has destroyed 290,000 packets of imported cigarettes in Latam. The U.S. Mild 1 branded cigarettes were imported by a city businessman. That brand of cigarettes is prohibited from being sold here in Guyana. The GNBS in a statement today said after a prolonged period of storage, a decision was taken by the distributor in conjunction with the GNBS to destroy the item. In light of the seizure and destruction, the GNBS is urging importers and dealers of cigarettes to become familiar with the tobacco regulations to ensure imported cigarettes are fully in compliance at the time of importation. According to the GNBS, its inspectors will remain vigilant to ensure there is not a prevalence of non-complying cigarettes on sale in the city and other outlying regions across the country. The American Health Organization PAHO has stated that the Brazilian COVID-19 variant is now present in Guyana, resulting in the surge in new cases and deaths. The Ministry of Health here is still to confirm the presence of any such variant. Since Guyana dispatched samples earlier this year to the Caribbean Public Health Agency and those samples came back negative for the variant, the Ministry of Health has not sent out any more samples to be tested. In the past 2 months, the country has seen a steep increase in new cases of coronavirus and deaths, which many health professionals believe is as a result of a deadlier and faster spreading variant of the virus being here. However, during his COVID-19 update today, the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, said there is still no confirmation, and he's now seeking information from PAHO.
We don't know what are the different types of variants, if there are any, that is circulating in Guyana, because from the limited amount of gene sequencing that was done on 10 samples, we were not able to identify any such variant like P1 or any one of the others. So this is really news to us. I have since asked PAHO for a report pertaining to this disclosure, and we are awaiting their PAHO's response.
Dr. Anthony said testing for the variant still cannot be done in Guyana, and the country is therefore dependent on other agencies outside of Guyana to do those specific tests.
As getting genetic sequencing is not an easy process, and we continue to try to work with agencies that can get this done for us. But so far we have not succeeded in getting samples to these agencies.
Guyana was listed by PAHO among 37 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean region that have the presence of the Brazilian variant of the virus. In the past 16 days, Guyana has recorded more than 2,100 new coronavirus cases and 46 deaths. A businesswoman and a security guard in Port Kaituma who initially claimed that they were robbed of $500,000 by a foreign-speaking man are now under arrest after admitting that the robbery never took place and they lost the money. The two filed a report on Sunday claiming that they were approached and robbed by two armed men who were speaking a foreign language. But under additional questioning by the police on Monday, the businesswoman and the security guard admitted that the robbery never took place and it was all a fabrication. The security guard is now claiming that he misplaced the money that was given to him by someone else to make purchases for them. The police force in a statement said the two have been placed under arrest and are likely to be charged over their false police report, as an investigation is also being carried out into the disappearance of the money.
Hi there, I'm Narissa Pearson, a broadcaster by profession and radio personality on 98.1 Hot FM of NCN. I just received my vaccine, and the process was pretty simple and easy. I will admit I was very nervous. I was very terrified to get a shot. It wasn't about the fact it's a COVID-19 vaccine, but just my fear with getting a vaccine generally since I was a child. But it was a really simple process, and I want to encourage a lot of people out there to get vaccinated. You know, as we continue to cope and deal with COVID-19 and its impact, I firmly believe that we should all take whatever precautions, whatever access we have towards mitigating the spread of this virus, and more so its impact on our lives and our health. So I'm very, very happy to have been vaccinated, and I hope a lot of people out there come and get their vaccines as well. I look forward to getting my second dose on this page so that I can really have a proper defense system against COVID-19.
Across the region tonight, as the number of COVID-19 patients requiring hospital care continues to rise in Trinidad, the allocation of bed spaces has become a challenge for the nation's healthcare system. According to Dr. Marianne Abdul-Richards, the principal medical officer, institutions, hospitals are being filled quickly, resulting from the fact that as persons are discharged, persons are being admitted because persons in the accident and emergency wards are waiting admission. She said hospitals have had an increasing number of admissions over the last 3 weeks, and the rolling average of number of confirmed cases on a daily basis over the last 7 days, which now stands at 414, also continues to increase. The official also noted that the greater the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19, the greater the number of persons who require medical care at the hospital within the parallel healthcare system in Trinidad and Tobago. In neighboring Brazil, rivers in the Brazilian Amazon region have risen to near record levels after heavy rains, flooding small towns and threatening areas hit hard by COVID-19 with another disaster. In the Amazonas state, 52 of the 62 towns and cities have areas underwater, and 25 have declared a state of emergency, including the capital of Manaus. About 410,000 people have been affected, according to the Civil Defense Service in Brazil. In Manaus, the Negro River is at its third highest level since records began in 1920. Raised wooden walkways for pedestrians have been erected in parts of the city center, and local officials say they will set up barricades with sandbags to try to contain the floodwaters. And finally tonight, international news. Israel has again closed a major border crossing into Gaza after Palestinian militants fired a barrage of mortars and rockets into southern Israel. 2 people believed to be Thai agricultural workers were killed, and 10 were injured on the Israeli side. The crossing had been opened to allow entry to 8 lorries from Jordan. A separate convoy entered from Egypt. A UN spokesperson said the Karim Shalom crossing with Israel was a crucial link to get help to those in need. At least 212 people, including almost 100 women and children, have been killed in Gaza, according to its health ministry. In Israel, 12 people, including 2 children, have been killed, its medical service has announced. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting and wishing you a pleasant rest of the evening. Stay safe.